kind of want to talk about is, um, first of all, like I said, just the whole process of launch, getting up to launch and stuff like that. So, a couple of things leading up to launch on Monday. People keep asking, what should I do to prepare? Blah, 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 blah. So, depending on how ham you want to go for leveling and everything, there's a few things that you can focus on, some that you should focus on. Of course, things like making as much gold as possible. That's one thing. How much gold sloot, the more the merrier. I don't know what your prices are going to be like on your server. Get a water strider. Why? Because a lot of the zones in the Broken Isles have a lot of water on them, which you're going to want to walk over. Now, it's not just for leveling because of the way that is there like a map section here? World maps. Because of the way that they've made world quests, you're actually going to be revisiting these zones a lot. So it's not just once through leveling, you're like, I'll survive, I'll just take some elixirs. Every day, you're going to be doing world quests. And there's like a huge lake in the middle of Ashuna, and there's rivers all over Val'Sharah, and there's water in all the zones, and Suramar has a lot, and you're not going to want to be in a position where every time you go through water, you're going to be slowly swimming through it. It's just going to lose you a lot of time. So I very much recommend getting a water strider. Now, if you can't get, did I not add something for Pandaria, Draenor, Legion? There we go. If you can't get something for Azure, like you've not already started your Azure, you can still get a Crimson Water Strider, which you just end up fishing an ass ton of fish for Nat Pagal in your garrison. You could get it in one day, even if you have 0 fishing. You're just going to need to be fishing a lot, okay? So, I do recommend getting that. Outside of that, anything else to prepare, it just depends how ham you want to go for leveling. So, things like you saw me buy some extra enchants. Yes, because every time a new ring or cloak or neck is obtained, I want to be able to enchant it for that little stat boost with my wad enchants, but it's still better than nothing, yeah? So, crit is usually, at least for tanks, usually the way to go. It's what I always use for leveling. It's just the highest, obviously, burst damage potential when you're leveling. Stats are usually inflated, especially at the earlier leveling portions, and haste usually takes a bit of ramp up. Mastery DPS is low. Versatility is largely non-existent on a lot of leveling gear. Crit's usually just the way to go, so I purchased a bunch of crit stuff. Crit food, make sure you have flasks, and you're good to go. Your leveling should really not take you any more than, like, to an extreme 20 hours, meaning you really need, unless you die, which would be really weird, you need a stack of food, a stack of flasks, a stack of runes, if you don't have the perma rune, pots, as many as you want to do. Oftentimes, AoEing mobs, especially as a tank, mobs are just kind of die just like that. So you don't need to worry too much about potting for like trash pulls. It's kind of a waste. For a tank especially, the slower stuff is when you're pulling like a mini boss type of mob. That's when you want to usually use a pot on top of your ring and whatever else you're going to use. Outside of that, so there was kind of 5 things that I checked, right? So there was runes, enchants, flasks, food, and pots. Now, that's kind of where I'm drawing the limit. You can go beyond that. For instance, a lot of people are getting goblin gliders. There are these zones, although on the map they look like really small. Some of the small zones you've seen, they're actually some of the largest zones. And part of that is attributed to the fact that they have a lot of Z-axis. So things like a lot of caves, so you want to get some speed pots perhaps for that. A lot of mountains, so you want to jump down to your, point, your quest objective or whatever. You're not a paladin that can bulp or whoever that can land safely from like 100 yards up. You're going to want goblin gliders. It's just going to help you transport for max efficiency between the zones. No, Aviana's feather does not work in Legion. Yes, there is an Aviana's like feather that you can get in Legion. It's in High Mountain. It's kind of over here between High Mountain and Val'Sharah, so you can get that if you want, like somewhere right there. But the matter of obtaining that, especially because a lot of people won't start High Mountain, is, a moot point for some. Runes, yes, runes like, by runes I mean, well, I don't have any on this tune. Like the runes, the 50 stat boost. Those work up to and including level 109. So it's just a permanent 50 agility, int, or strength that you might as well have during leveling, you know? Heroic Leap's fine, yeah. Heroic Leap. So that's kind of like things to do to prep for Legion. You know, Goblin Glider, Speed Pots for caves, that's going a bit like extreme. It'll work for some. Oh yeah, sorry, and Bloodlust Drums. Get Bloodlust Drums as well, they're pretty cheap. A couple of those things, like, you know, the more ham you want to go on leveling, the more of those things you're going to want, but pretty standard is like Flask and all that kind of stuff. So, next we can talk about, okay, so you're all ready for Legion, you've emptied your bags, you've emptied your quest log, assuming you're not piling up 25 quests prior to Legion that you're going to cash in WoD right away and then go. You're all good to go. Where do I wait? The best place to wait is in the new Dalaran above Karazhan, because that's where the end of the pre-patch quest takes you. So you do everything, you do the Broken Shore, you do all the quest lines, you end up in that place where Khadgar's sitting there with his jabronis and he's doing that summon in the middle of Dalaran. That's where you want to be, because the moment Legion goes live, that's where they're going to flip the switch, and that Dalaran's going to have that little cutscene, and then you're going to get transported in that same Dalaran to the Broken Isles. Right here, where you can see Dalaran right there. So that's where you want to be. Now, assuming it goes smoothly, if it doesn't, you might need to like fly out of Dalaran and back in, and it's going to be a lot of lag and all that kind of shit. But more or less, it's going to be, that's where you want to be for it. It's catching up here. Okay, we're good. Once it goes live, you get ported, and the very first thing that you're going to do is the combination of your artifact, weapon acquisition, and getting to your class hall. You're going to very early set up your class hall, and then you're going to get your artifact weapon, and then once that's done in your class hall, you're going to select one of these 4 zones to level in. Doesn't matter really which one you level in. You can start leveling at any one because of the technology, the way it works now. Back before, you'd have like, you know, this is a 10... You know, it would have been like, this is a 102 zone, this is 104, 106. That doesn't exist anymore. You level in whatever order you want between these 4 zones, and Suramar is a 110 only zone. So, personally, I'm going to be going from Val'sharah. Oh, I'm going to put this behind the whiteboard. I'm going to be going to Val'sharah, Ashuna, Stormheim, High Mountain, and there's a little note on that. And then, obviously, into Suramar when I'm level 110. Why this order? Again, it doesn't really matter on the order, because ultimately for things like flying down the road for your achievement and getting as many of the treasures and artifact power as you level and that kind of stuff, you're going to be doing all 4 zones anyways. Quality drawing, thanks man. You're going to be doing all 4 zones anyway, so it's really not that big of a deal which order you level in. The reason I'm doing it this way is because, first of all, these 2 zones have a much more efficient output of XP per hour compared to these 2 zones, by virtue of the fact that, well, you get about as much experience as these 2 zones, but they're way smaller zones, and the XP is much more condensed. Secondly, every zone, well, all 4 of these zones have, at the end of the zone, you get a quest that takes you into one of the 4, there's 10 dungeons overall at the start of Legion. It takes you into one of the 4 leveling dungeons. So 5 of the dungeons are 110 only. 4 of the dungeons are pure leveling dungeons. Not pure, but they're leveling dungeons starting at level 100 to 110, and of course they have 110 versions at max level. And one of the dungeons, Violet Hold, is a 105 to 110 dungeon, so it's like a half leveling dungeon. And each one of these zones major quest line ends with you going into the zone, sending you into whatever dungeon. So for Val'sharah, it'll be Darkheart Thicket. For Ashuna, it'll be Eye of Ashara. For Stormheim, it'll be Halls of Valor. And for High Mountain, it'll be Neltharian's Lair. And then, like I said, the 5th one will be in Dalaran. It'll be Violet Hold, if you want to go in there. The quest that you get at the end of the zone is very, very lucrative. It's very much worth doing. If you have buddies that want to do it with you, that's fine. It doesn't matter if your buddy's 108, you're 102. You guys can group up, do it together, or you could just queue and keep questing until your queue pops up. Depending on your role, you'll have a shorter or faster queue. Using dungeons to level outside of that, though, like just pure dungeon leveling, is just nowhere near as efficient as questing. So if you want to do that, that's fine. no matter how good your group is and you just chain pull everything, you're just not going to get the same XP per hour as leveling. But in this one instance, doing the dungeon associated with the quest that you got is very, very much worth doing, okay? Now, why Val'sharah first, from like a more min-maxy standpoint? Zones 2, 3, and 4, like I said, reward you with, give you the quest to go into a dungeon, and once you complete that dungeon, you get the Pillar of Creation, and you get an 800 eye level piece of gear. It does not scale. Like, all the gear that you get during leveling does scale, but this does not scale. It's just 800 eye level flat. Doesn't matter if you get it when you're level 101, 108, 107, doesn't matter. So, as a result of that, you want to get the fastest piece at level 108 that has the higher stat distribution. You get a chest in Val'sharah, which has among usually the highest stat distribution outside of crazy trinkets and shit like that. And it's the only zone that you get the 800 eye level piece, unless they change it, without you having to do the dungeon first, even though you should do the dungeon right after. But you'll have the piece already for the dungeon. You'll get it as early as possible, level 101, 102, and you'll be able to use it in all the other zones. So that's why Val'sharah first. Why Ashuna second is the next fastest zone, in my opinion. Stormheim after that is the next fastest zone as well, depending, especially if you decide to do like that YOLO shit where you like go hunt all the rares and stuff. And then I'm going to be ending up in High Mountain, but personally, I'm not going to be doing High Mountain right away, all of it. I'm going to try to time it so that I ding 110 in High Mountain at about the same time that I hit Friendly with the High Mountain Tribe, which is the faction in High Mountain. Why don't I want to finish it right away? Because I'd rather ding 110, go do whatever else I'm going to do, get a lot of gear, and then come finish High Mountain when I'm geared out the ass, and it's much easier for me to just pull everything, kill it, with a much higher eye level than just continuing to quest through it. So that's why. Now, why am I trying to also get friendly in High Mountain? Why am I also trying to get friendly in High Mountain at the same time? The reason is that in order to unlock world quests, when you hit... I followed... Yo, man, this isn't Jerry Streams, yo. When you hit 110, the way to unlock world quests and also get your flight whistle is you need to have friendly with each major faction in the zones 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 factions overall. The one that you do not have to have friendly with is the Wardens, because that's kind of a faction that covers like the whole island. It's like a wildcard faction. But you need to have it with Dreamweavers, Court of Ferondis, the Val'sharah dudes, and Valarjar, and then also the High Mountain Tribe, along with the Nightfallen and Suramar. Just by virtue of finishing zones 1, 2, 3, you'll easily be friendly. You need to quest about like 25 to 40% into High Mountain in order to get friendly with the High Mountain Tribe, and that's why you kind of want to try to combine it so that the moment you hit 110, you're also friendly. You can get the fuck out of High Mountain. You don't need to stay in there anymore if you don't want to. After that, you can go quest for about 25 to 40 minutes, something like that, in Suramar. It doesn't take very long for you to get friendly with the Nightfallen, and then that'll allow you to unlock all the world quests in general here. Alright? So, the most important thing to do the moment you hit 110 is to go to your class hall and spend 500 order hall resources to start researching artifact knowledge. Artifact knowledge is an item that permanently on that character, not account wide, just on that character, permanently increases your artifact power acquisition. So it's what's going to help you get your fucking Frost and Arcane specs leveled up faster and caught up faster on your Arcane, on your Mage when Blizzard's like, JK, we're deleting Fire Mage from the game, alright? So that's why it's important. In that same vein, that's why it's also important and recommended that if you're leveling multiple classes for split clears or whatever it may be, that you get the artifact knowledge done and then go level another class right away so that you can start artifact knowledge on that character too. Now, some people are straight up hitting 110, not unlocking world quests, not doing anything, researching their artifact knowledge, and then going straight to their next tune. I'm going to do a bit more than that, not much more. What I'm going to do, and I'll tell you why in a second, what I'm going to do is, A, unlock world quests and check if there's any world quests that are important, that are going to expire in the next less than, let's say, 8 hours, which will probably be the amount of time taken for my next tune to level. And then I'm going to do that. And then B, I'm also going to make sure that, as much as I can at least, the tune that I was leveling in terms of class hall campaign progression is at a point where they're just waiting on their mission hall table and they can't do anything for the next like 18 to 24 hours or 18 to 36 hours anyways. because not only am I in a position where, well, I'm researching artifact knowledge, nothing I can do about that, but then I'm also at a position where, at least during the downtime of my class order progression, I'm efficiently leveling another tune, so that by the time I'm done with that tune, I could check in on tune number 1 and go, oh, okay, well, you're done this part of the class all campaign, let's put you on another round, because every class spec has this kind of part in your campaign, or a few parts where you're just getting missions done that take like a while to do. Okay, so, now before I continue for a second, man, thank you very much, Jape. Appreciate it a lot, man. Welcome to the Bagel Brotherhood. Sorry I missed that for a moment. Missed that, but make sure we give him that sweet love in chat. It would be very much appreciated. Thank you, man. So once I kind of do these 3 things, and the reason for the world quest, because if there's like a really good world quest, like, oh wow, that's actually a really good item, or oh, so that's a lot of artifact power for something that won't take long before it disappears, then I'm going to do that real quick to make sure that doesn't disappear while I'm leveling the other tune. It'll take me 5-10 minutes, whatever, and then I'll go level the other tune. Alright? So that's kind of my personal goal on how I'm going to level my tunes. And then once they're all 110, then, based on my main and whatever, I'm going to start progressing them ham. Now, there's a few tips that I've learned over time while leveling, which I'm sure you found a lot in other guides, and other guides say more than what I'm about to say, but bonus objectives have changed a bit from how they were in Warlords. So bonus objective, let's take Val'sharah as an example here. Legion, Val'sharah. So in Val'sharah, you have some bonus objectives that pop up, and bonus objectives usually now only pop up once you've kind of progressed to that area via your questing chain. So, like, there's one there, and, like, there's, like, 2 here, and there's, like, 1 here, if I remember correct. Sorry, 1 in here. And all of these pop up based on, like, whatever breadcrumb takes you to that area. So you can't kind of just go bang them out like you used to in WoD. You kind of have to be led. They reward about 3 times the amount of a normal quest, so they're definitely worth doing, especially because 95% of the time they're actually alongside everything going on. Am I reading what, Dead Man? What's up, dude? Are you okay, man? Are you okay? Could you tell the class why the fuck you just interrupted the professor? No, I'm serious. I'm just kidding, man. I don't know, Blizzard side Fire Mage is OP. I don't know, man. I don't fucking work for Blizzard. You happy? Good. They just received a small nerf anyway. I don't know. Maybe they won't get nerfed at all. Alright, anyways. Ravi was passing notes. Motherfucker. Ravi, would you show the picture of this dick, please, to the rest of the class? Alright, so bonus objectives, very efficient to do when you get to that area with the breadcrumbs, because they're usually hand in hand with the kind of quests you're doing anyways, okay? So I would not skip them. Now, every zone has kind of quest hubs that don't have any breadcrumbs leading to them. And this is why oftentimes I'd have a lot of people coming to me and being like, hey, Sloot, man, I'm like level 108 and I finished the zones. Whereas there's people who knew about these zones that were like, hey, man, I'm level like 110, I haven't even started my 4th zone. So, is it good to do these in general? Yes. But with keeping in mind the goal that I kind of want to end up a third of the way through High Mountain perfectly when I hit friendly to also ding 110 in High Mountain, it might be worth skipping some. So, in Val'sharah, there's about, I don't know, 2 or 3 hubs right here that are completely optional to do. But there were quite a fair amount of experience. Every zone kind of has its own little area like that. So, Val'sharah is there. I hope I remember them all, to be honest. Ashuna has them. Ashuna's kind of scattered. Ashuna has like 1 here, 1 here. These ones are optional as far as I remember. Anyways, there's a lot of them that per zone that are optional. And they usually reward you. It's like kind of like their own mini chain, and they usually reward you with some artifact power if you want to do them. And if you don't, that's fine. You won't get the artifact power, but they won't in any way contribute to your ability to do the main part of the quest line, get the Pillar of Creation, and then do that dungeon at the end of the zone. So it's kind of up to you if you want to do them. If you absolutely exhaust every single zone in terms of leveling, you will easily be like 109 by the time you're doing your 4th zone. So it might, and in which case, if I were to do that, I would actually level so fast that I'd ding 110 before actually hitting friendly in high mountain, and then I'd have to quest even more into high mountain when I'm already 110, instead of just moving right away to Suramar and unlocking that. So I would recommend trying to match it up as good as possible. So for instance, I might do it the first time around, but I usually, like this area, I might just end up entirely skipping now because I was finishing high mountain too early in terms of leveling versus obtaining friendly. So we'll see. Oh yeah, just a note about the water starters. Look at all these rivers, and in in Ashuna, like that the lake in the middle here in Ashuna, like all the zones have a lot of water. Water starter, very, very useful for all these things. So generally speaking, that's a lot of the kind of little tips and tricks in there. Of course, it's really good to know exactly how the quests flow, where you want to go for them, exactly what they're asking you to do, etc. But that would take ages to explain. By that time, expansion will launch. Now, a couple of other things. A lot of people are worried about professions. So let's talk about how professions tie into leveling. It is very effective in terms of gaining experience to level a gathering profession alongside your leveling. Like, yes, go out of your way. If you see a node a bit out of your way, go mine it, go pick it if you're an herbalist, all that kind of stuff, because they give you baseline, first of all, they give you 10% worth of a quest, which is a nice little amount. You up your skill, and you need to have at least 100 skill when you're level 100 to unlock profession-based world quests. And it just gives you raw mats that you're probably going to end up using for your crafting profession. On top of that, because of the way the profession system works in Legion now, where there's kind of rank 1, 2 of things, both for crafting and for collecting, you're going to end up gathering random items that themselves you cache for the entirety of the experience of an entire quest. So if I go and pick like an herb in Ashuna, and it was, I forgot what it's called, whatever, I just pick the herb there, chances are pretty soon it's going to give me a quest item that I take back to Dalaran, and I cash for the full value of a quest on top of, getting the quest from the herb. And then she goes, oh, this is interesting. Go pick like fucking 10 more flowers in Ashuna. You go pick 10 more flowers, and then it starts a series of quests for herbalism for you to get your rank 2 and your rank 3, and the rank 2 and 3 procs from the nodes also give you another 15k experience, and it's just a ton of experience alongside leveling when you're doing gathering professions. That's very, very useful. In terms of crafting professions, the majority of them take you through Ashuna, oddly enough. Not all of them. Some of them go through other zones. Some of them end up in other zones. But there is an overwhelming amount of them that go through Ashuna themselves that they don't link as smoothly into pure leveling as gathering professions do, because gathering professions is just, well, you're going along questing, and then you're like, oh, look, there's a fucking mining node, and there's a mining node, and there's like a dead animal I can skin, and there's a human player that I'm going to kill and skin them too, and so on. Whereas with professions, you can kind of like link them in, but you do have to go on your own YOLO quests for professions. So whether or not you want to spend the time YOLO questing for crafting professions, rather than wait and doing them at level 110, that's totally up to you. But in terms of gathering professions, I very much recommend grabbing one, making sure you have one before you start leveling, and doing it alongside your leveling, okay? Ramsey confirmed. And it's also, in my opinion at least, pretty efficient, at least at the launch of the expansion, to kind of pair a gathering and a crafting profession. Just my 2 cents on that. So that's some considerations you should give for leveling. Now, I'm probably leaving some stuff out, and if it comes to me for leveling particularly, I will, go on and let you know. Every zone themselves has like kind of their own tips and tricks and stuff. I've leveled in many different like ways through the zones. I can kind of draw little arrows on how I'm personally going to be going through the zones, whether or not it's the most efficient. That's up to you guys based on what you've read in other guides. So for instance, in Val'sharah, I'm going to be, you start your main... God, so let me zoom this in a bit. Okay. In Val'sharah, you kind of start your little hub like right here. And then usually I just kind of went down like this, and then all the way down here through the optionals, and then through here, and then through here, and then through here like this, and then you go up this way, and then, well, it's kind of like this and this, and then you go up through here, and then I kind of ended up in here like this, and I'm done the zone. So that's what I do there. In Ashuna, I went, oh god, this is all fucked up now. Legion. In Ashuna, I went, in Ashuna, you start here, so you kind of do this whole island, and then more hubs open up. I kind of went up here, tagged here, and then back down like this, completed all this center area, pretty much unlocked EOA, and then you kind of just work around the outside like this, everything like this, all the way loop up. This tags all the optional quests in the zone too, and then you end up here, and then like you're done in the zone here. For Stormheim, obviously I can go in like tons of detail about this in terms of individual quests, but I just, no. In terms of Stormheim, for, to be honest, Alliance, I can't tell you exactly because I have not leveled as Alliance, but Horde, you just kind of start here, you go up through the mountain. You just kind of nail everything up to here. And then you get some optional quests here in Stormheim. These optional quests are a particularly large pain in the ass because the normal quest flowing in Stormheim is kind of, you go there and then you deal with this crap here, and then you kind of scale the mountain, and you come back, and then you go up here and you deal with it. You deal with this area, and then when you're done there, you deal with this area, and then when you're done there, you deal with kind of the Sylvanas the Sylvanas Shore stuff, and then you're kind of done there. If you take this optional stuff here in the middle, it sends you into a lot of experience, but it sends you into a lot of YOLO places that are far to travel that have nothing to do with the actual main storyline that you need to go into Halls of Valor and get the Pillar of Creation. So the first set will kind of send you up here. There's a bonus objective here. You gotta kill a bunch of shit, like kill a named and all that stuff. And then the next one sends you to kill some Ox, and then the next one sends you to an island over here where you would regularly never go. It has another bonus objective there, where you would regularly never go if you didn't take these quests. So you kind of have to make a decision if you want to take this big hub for yourself in the middle. It's completely unrelated to the main storyline, but it is a lot of experience. Oh, and there's another optional hub right here too, on the shore. Okay? Now the last part is, the last zone rather, for leveling is High Mountain. With High Mountain, you kind of start in the middle, and you have a lot of ways you can branch out. It doesn't really matter. For High Mountain itself, though, in terms of getting friendly in the zone, you kind of start in this area, and if you complete everything in this lower area, like this, under the mountain here, that pretty much takes you to friendly. There's a bonus objective area here like this, too. If you complete... Sorry, this kind of looks like a garlic. If you complete this kind of blob here, you're pretty much friendly with the zone. That's fine. Once you complete that, though, if you want to keep going, there's like a Nessing Wary base here. It takes you all through this middle area. And then you kind of just work your way up to the middle here. Do the shore stuff here. Loop back down. Go through the cave like this. You end up back in the High Mountain base for a bit. Then you deal with this last area here. And then you're pretty much done. High Mountain's a bit messy. That's why it's also my least preferred zone for leveling. There's a lot of travel. It's got a lot of caves. It's got a lot of mountains. The optional quest areas are very, very sporadic and all over the place. There's a lot of RP in the zone. It is a lot of experience, and it is a fun zone to level in, but there's a lot of like in this area particularly, it's a huge pain in the ass. You have to go up the mountain and kill all these harpies, and it's from an efficiency standpoint, it's just not worth it. Looks like a turd. How dare you? This is a turd. Actually, that's a cloud. It's got a smiley face too. So High Mountain is just kind of a bit of a pain in the ass, but you're ultimately going to need to do it anyways because, well, first of all, you're going to want to, unlock all the flight paths for World Quest, but you're also going to need it for flying down the road at some point, okay? But with High Mountain, like I said, if you kind of just finish up this natural lower area, and by natural I mean it'll take you, quests will lead you to that area, you'll pretty much be friendly. And you want to, for me, I want to kind of try and aim to complete that at the same time that I dig 110. All right. So once all that's done, you're 110. Okay. You get then the quest to go to Suramar. It's with Khadgar in Dalaran, and then you start here in Suramar, pretty much, I don't know, like somewhere right here. And you do like a little RP quest line thing, and you end up in the cave where you start your base. Once you do that, you're about 2,500 out of 3,000 on the way to friendly. And then you just got to do a few of the quests here once you're setting up your base. Once you've done that, you're friendly with them. Oh, no, that's a lie, sorry. You do those quests, and then you do the very, very, very introductory quest down in Suramar City on the side, and then you're pretty much friendly. The last one you do is like capturing the chick when you're using the mask. Like it's very early. Once you get sent down here, you're on the borderline of being friendly. Once you're friendly, you're done. That's it. World quests are unlocked. You can go back out in the world if you want and do whatever you want to do. So once I ding 110 like that, I'm going to be checking the world map. Do I have any really important world quests in any of these areas? Yeah, I do. Okay, I'm going to go do it. No, I don't. Okay, make sure I'm in my class hall. Make sure artifact knowledge is rolling. Artifact knowledge is the first thing I do. As soon as I hit 110, back to class hall, research order hall, artifact knowledge with order hall, 500 order hall. Per artifact knowledge, you can research 2 at a time, so 1,000 at once. And yeah, and then I'm going to check, like I said, class hall. Do I have, is my artifact knowledge rolling? Am I ideally at a place in my class hall campaign that I can't really do anything? Oh, yeah, it's raining. That I can't really do anything anyways because I'm waiting. And have I done any significant what I consider at least to be significant world quests that, that will boost my character enough and it's worth it to take 5-10 minutes to do it. All right. Once that's done, next alt, rinse, repeat. Okay. What eye level is realistic to start raiding in Legion? Probably like, well, it depends what difficulty you're doing, right? An important world quest to me is probably like a rare kill for AP, an item that might be particularly good, things like that. Now, let me eat my penis pita for a second. How long does it take you to get 110 if you know life it? Like 8 to 10 hours, maybe. I forgot to mention, in general, you should definitely keep up with your class hall campaign as you're leveling. So, just like as a general rough rule, if you're done with Ashuna and you're about to go to Stormheim, go to your class hall, keep it as up to date as possible. You have to go to your class hall anyways to select your next zone. You go to your class hall, update whatever needs to be updated, send followers out, get new followers, do the quests, and then you go to Stormheim, select the next one. When you know you're done from each zone, you know you're done when you get the quest that sends you to the dungeon. You're done then the main storyline of the zone. Mine is doing the actual dungeon itself. I mean, for me as a tank, I don't need to do the secondary artifact stuff, so I'm not going to bother. Some people will want to bother. So yeah, likely when you're done your first zone, when you go back to your class hall, that's when you'll have the option at 102 to go get one of your off-spec artifact weapons if you want. Oh shit, I gotta fly to the next zone here. To get one of your artifact off-spec weapons. That itself also gives you XP, so if you want to go do that, go do that. I don't need to as a tank though. Yes, definitely do the dungeons once you get the quest for them at the end. Absolutely. Now, so that's kind of it, at least in a very general, basic sense with leveling. A few tips and tricks. There's obviously much crazier stuff you can do, like I said, with gliders and swiftness potions and all that kind of shit. Some people might be using, different things. Some people, I'm sure, have found exploits to, like, pull a cave of mobs for 10 minutes and it'll ding them to 110. I don't know. I'm not leveling in a group, no. You can level a bit faster in a group. It's not like a huge significant gain, but overall, yeah, you would probably level a bit faster in a group of like 2 or 3, So, a quick note. Now, I'm going Valshara, Ashuna, Stormheim, High Mountain. So, guys, a quick note on off-spec artifact stuff, yeah? Let's say you're a Holy Paladin. You don't want to level as Holy, so you're leveling as Red. So, what you want to do is, okay, you can select Red at the start, You quest through, I don't know, Valshar or whatever, yeah? You keep all your artifact power items in your bag. You don't learn your artifact power. What happens is then you're done with Valshara, you're level 102, you go back to your class hall, you're going to get the quest to go get your holy artifact. You go get your holy artifact.
Suck a dick, suck a motherfucking dick, suck a dick, suck a huge or small.
What was that? Go Man. 27 months, holy shit, dude. Our third is stream, baby, I'm naming it Cat Bag. Thanks, man. Appreciate that a lot. Fist that butt. Also, Nunchuk. Thank you very much for subbing and supporting the stream. Sorry, man, I missed that for a moment. I was in the middle of a rant, as you saw. Appreciate it, dude. Welcome to the Bagel Brotherhood. Fist that butt. Make sure we give him that sweet love in chat, man. So anyway, so you hit 102. You go get your Holy Pally artifact. And then you have it in your bag. The way it works is if I, you know, all you got to do is go to your Holy, activate it, and then when you are in Holy Spec, it'll automatically equip your Holy Artifact, and then you can just use all your artifact power items, switch back to Ret, continue questing, and then at whatever frequency you want, you just have to repeat that process. If you want to level as Ret, but have artifact power in your Holy, okay? I'm just using an example with Ret and Holy, by the way. So that's how it works for people that don't want to level as the spec that they're going to be playing at max level. Shaman and DKs, I don't think any other class, but Shaman and DKs, you guys have some like weird class-only things as you level, where once you complete it, like Shaman have some like, save this earth elemental stuck in the ground from evil like doom wings from Mordor and shit. And then once you do that, it's upon quest completion for those that you get your artifact power. It's like the only case of that ever happening. So if you come across those and you're not in your spec that you want to be in, you might want to switch to that spec before completing that specific thing, okay? So that's how it works, leveling your off-spec stuff, okay? Again, this is not like a super exhaustive guide or anything or like info. This is just like general stuff. I'm sure people have different tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff, okay? Druids too? Okay.
Surprise! Cock bang!
I don't remember Druids having it, but... Pokemon, thank you very much for subbing and supporting the stream, dude. Great to have you here. Appreciate it a lot. So much, I'm gonna fist that ass. Thank you, dude. Make sure we give him that sweet love in chat, Bagel Bros. Spam those slutty fists. Oh yeah, Swedish for sure, man. Okay, so that's how it works. Now, one more quick little tip.
Donation.
JVC donated $2.01. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate that. Thank you for the donation. One more little tip for leveling, guys. All gear that you get scales with your level. Okay, this is just like a small thing, but it might help you a bit. If you're like maxed out HFC eye level... HFC Mythic eye level gear with some Titan Forge, you're not really going to be replacing your gear until like 107, 108. And the lower you go on that totem pole, the faster you're going to be replacing your gear in the leveling world. When you're leveling, your gear scales with your level. So there's going to be a few situations likely for a lot of you where you're going to hit a point where you have like 4 quests to cash. Cashing only one of those is going to level you, and one of those quests has an item reward for you. So let's say you're level 102, you're about to cash your quest, and you know it's going to ding you. What you want to do, of course, is then cash in the quests that don't have item rewards, ding, and then cash your last quest in, so that that last item is actually boosted by an extra, like, 13 eye level because you dinged first. Does that make sense? What's up, Kaleman? So, just a little tip. Okay, so, leveling stuff aside, I leveled my alts, or my 1-2 whatever. I'm level 110.
Donation.
JBC, tips for tits. Thank you very much, man, for the donation again, dude. I appreciate it. Is leveling the group faster? A bit. Nothing crazy, but a bit. I mean, it's faster by virtue of the fact that, like, oh shit, we got to kill like 50 of these mobs. All right, well, hey, you grab that area, you grab that area. We'll round up all the mobs in the middle. So it is faster, like, mechanically in that sense, yeah, because it's faster for 3 people to round up a bunch of mobs and kill them within a 30-40 yard area of each other than for one guy to grab everything, you know? Could I say the last tip again? if you're about to ding from turning in a series of quests and one of those quests has an item reward for it, cache the other quest first. That will make you ding, and then cache the quest reward one, because that way when you cache it, it'll have the higher eye level because you just dinged from like 102 to 103 or whatever, you know? The new Dalaran ring, is it worth it? From a leveling perspective, yes, if you can afford it. It's an 850 eye level ring that you can use at level 101, so it'll certainly help you because stats are stats and it helps you a lot. Now, if you can afford it, do it. If not, it's not the end of the world. Well, how effective will it be at level 110? It'll be a max eye level ring prior to raiding, but the difficulty of getting a ring between 840 and 850 eye level, depending on how much you play, is not that much. And obviously, once raiding hits and Mythic Plus hits, that ring is gonna go pretty quick. So, is it worth going to a zone where the profession quest is? Yeah, we talked about that earlier. It deviates from your actual questing because it has its own little quest line and stuff. A gathering profession's super easy to kind of level alongside while you're like legit leveling, because you walk for 5 more seconds and you loot some herbs and stuff like that. But dedicated crafting quests have their own quest lines, and you're not really very efficiently going to be able to overlap. Well, do I want to do the JC stuff in Ashuna, or am I continuing questing properly in Ashuna? You're not going to have many opportunities for those to really overlap. Yeah. When I plan to wake up during progression, like 3:30 in the morning. You log out in the Dalaran above Karazhan, the Legion quest line one. Dalaran ring's 250k. Yeah, it's very expensive. The skinning reward XP? No. Not last I checked, at least. So it's not as good as mining and herbalism in that sense. Mike for $2.64 says, a neat tip for those who haven't done the pre-expansion quests yet: Broken Shore, Dalaran, Karazhan, etc. The buffs you get for the Broken Shore can be used in your leveling process. I have 20 minutes approximately. Yes, that's true. Also, these bandages here, wherever they are. Oh, right, I don't have them because I'm a DH. You don't do Broken Shore. But those bandages that you get a 9 stack of for Alliance or Horde, like the Mojo or the bandages that you get as Alliance, those work during leveling, and they actually do quite a bit of damage. So they're only a 5-minute duration, but they work up to level 109, I think, still. They might have changed it. I think they still work up to 109. Or did they change it to 100? If they changed it, never mind what I'm saying. If they didn't, and they work up to level 109, you can use them while leveling. I can't remember if they changed it, though, now. And I can't log into another tune. Ooh, item upgraded. Anyways, so that's kind of it for leveling. If you guys have any little tips and tricks, feel free to share in the chat and shit. But skinning requires you to kill a beast. Yeah, kind of, but you can't really. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but you can't cash in on the big way, like somebody's already killed a ton of fucking little rabbits or something, and you want to go skin them. It's not going to give you experience that way, Should you really get full crafting gear to 850 pre-raid? I don't think it's going to be very possible to get a full set of 850 crafting gear before 3 weeks, but... Still 109? Okay. Alright, so... Thank you, man. 4-month resub. Appreciate it a lot, dude. Just that, but... Thank you very much, man. Much love to you. Dog. Don't. Oh, man. It's raining. I gotta take the dog out soon. Anyways, so let's put leveling aside for a second. So you hit 110 on your alts or on your 1 tune or whatever you're gonna do. What do you do now? Alright. The intended way of progression is to gradually increase your eye level so that you can eventually... Like, your main goal right away should be, I want to hit 810 eye level so that I can rando queue for heroic dungeons. Heroic dungeons are an unlimited farmable source for AP, gear with Titan Forge proc potential, legendary drops can drop from bosses in heroic dungeons. So getting 810 for queuing those dungeons is very, very, very important. So traditionally, or the way Blizzard intends it or wants it, or not intends it, but sorry, okay, intends it is the right word, but there's other ways to do it. The way for most people how you're going to do it is you're going to hit 110, your eye level is going to be about 785 to 790, and then you're going to unlock world quests, And then you're going to go do world quests for some gear. You're going to get a few pieces that boost you a few eye level, nowhere near 810. And then you're going to run normal mode dungeons that drop 810 gear. Hopefully you get the gear you need. And if you don't, then you're going to also do professions. You're going to scrounge together mats and gold to get some crafted gear. And then you're going to eventually hit 810. Once you hit 810 eye level, you're going to grind the fuck out of heroics. Eventually, you'll get a high enough eye level to feel comfortable stepping foot into Mythic 1 dungeons, and then you step foot into Mythic 1 dungeons, do your Mythics for the week, because it's a weekly loot lockout for Mythic 1 dungeons, and then you're just going to basically keep on top of your world quests, chain farm heroics, and of course, do your professions as you please, and quest through Suramar as much as you want. Now, the whole Suramar thing. Sloot, is it worth it to save, to not do any Suramar stuff, save a bunch of... save all the quests in Suramar until you get a higher level of artifact knowledge and then do a bunch of them? Personally, my answer is no. But I'm also a guy that's going to be playing a lot. As long as there's an unlimited source of artifact power, which there is, if you manage to always do all the world quests and everything, you're going to be doing a heroic dungeon farming anyways. On top of that, one of the main reasons for questing through Suramar in the first place outside of AP is unlocking Archway and unlocking Court of Stars. Alright, those are very, very important. Not just because they're 2 more dungeons with their own loot table and, chances for legendaries, and 2 more mythic dungeons on top of the 8 mythic dungeons that you get more 840 plus loot from that could help you for raiding, but because the quality of the loot in these 2 dungeons just surpasses the first 8 dungeons. The reason being, and the reason it's gated, and as a result of being gated, Blizzard has made it tempting, there's a lot of 2-piece sets in there that are really good. There's a lot of amazing trinkets in there. There's a lot of items that are just themselves crazy, crazy good. So it's really, really worth it to get into these dungeons as quick as possible to get some of these items on the pronto. Now, if you don't give a shit about that because you're all about making money and you're taking it casually, fine. Also, if you read Watcher's massive-ass blue post wall of text, he lists some pretty good reasons as to why you really shouldn't bother waiting, because it's not really efficient. But do what you want in the end, alright? Yes, Heroic Dungeons give 825 plus gear, that's correct. So, I mean, just as an example, if I can find... I can't remember if it's in here. Yeah, it is. So, I mean, this is just a random ring. Have a nibble, increasing your healing and magic damage done by 5% for 12 seconds, 3-minute cooldown. Doesn't share a CD with anything. It's 5% extra magic damage for like a mage or something for 12 seconds. Imagine that alongside with Lust and everything. So there's just a bunch of these kind of unique items. Chrono Shard. The proc on this trinket itself is amazing already. On top of it, it's part of a 2-piece, and with that 2-piece, you get extra movement speed and an extra 1,000 haste on that proc. So, have a nipple. So there's a lot of really good items in these dungeons. I would very much recommend questing through Suramar, because Suramar rep is going to be one of the toughest. It is the toughest rep to kind of level up by virtue of the fact that, well, it's part of the endgame questing progression, I am the Tato. $5. I'm planning to play Prot. Where do you suggest leveling as for your Prot? Pass 102. Thanks for the donation, man. Leveling as a tank versus DPS counterparts is equally fast. So, whatever's more fun for you. Okay, so quest through Suramar, it's really important. Now, as far as world questing goes, it's really important, especially if you're, trying to get your legendaries and that. Now, sometimes you might skip some world quests, like I don't need the gold, blah, 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 but if you're doing artifact power order resources, you should definitely do pretty much all of them, or as many as you can. But eventually you're going to find some that you're like, I really don't need that, or I really don't care, or I can't be bothered. However, every single day in Legion, one of the 6 factions is going to send an emissary that's going to stick around for 72 hours, and that emissary will require to do 4 world quests anytime you want within those 3 days, so it's not really a daily. They understand that I don't feel like doing it today, so I'm going to do it tomorrow. Blizzard's mentality now. And if you do those 4 world quests for that faction, you then go into the zone, fly back to like the emissary representative of that zone, and they will reward you with an emissary cache. That cache contains a lot of good shit. A lot of gold, guaranteed artifact power, a lot of order, can be a lot of order resources, can have a legendary, lots of stuff in there, very much worth doing. So when you see them, I would do them at some point before they expire. It's really important to do those, okay? As a result of them popping up daily and lasting for 72 hours, you're going to get, you're going to get, sorry, 7 factions. I guess Kirin Tor is not really a faction, but anyways, as a result of them being 24 hours, lasting 72, you're going to get 3 of them. I suggest doing them. Now, there's a couple that are particularly important to do. Like if you really don't feel like doing them at all, if the Nightfallen one pops up, which is the Suramar rep, definitely do that because it's a lot of free rep. On top of that, if the Kirin Tor one pops up, which is one that also covers like really weird quests all over the zone, definitely do that one too, because at the end of that one, not only do you get the cash, but you get the ability to choose an item that gives you rep in any one of the 6 factions. So obviously, again, you're going to want to select the Nightfallen rep. Nightfallen rep is really required a lot because you actually, outside of the questing through Suramar, you need a certain amount of rep to unlock the 2 dungeons. All right, I think it's 8k out of 12k honored. You cannot unlock Archway and Court of Stars unless you have that much rep. So the more rep, the better. So use your opportunities to get rep with the Nightfallen wherever you can. So that's it for World Quest. So this is the kind of natural progression prior to raiding. So then you get crafted gear. You can upgrade crafted gear with why am I forgetting the fucking item name? That stuff that needs Blood of Sargeras. You use that to upgrade crafted gear all the way to 850. When world bosses unlock, I don't know if they're unlocked right away or within a few days or whatever. Definitely go kill world bosses. They drop 860 baseline gear. Do your emissary quests. Farm the fuck out of heroic. Do mythic dungeons when they pop up, etc. This natural progression of getting up to 810, unlocking heroic dungeons, and moving forward to the mythic dungeons is what most players are going to do. Now, Sloop Bag way to do it. Obliterum, thank you. Sloop Bag way to do it. The most efficient thing you can do at level 110. The moment you hit 110, outside of what we talked about, artifact knowledge and all that kind of stuff, once you're done those like 3 things, important world quests out of the way, artifact knowledge is already researching, and you're kind of at an impasse on your class all campaign stuff, the most important thing, the best and easiest thing you can do is to actually work backwards. So what you want to do is you get 4 of your buddies, all right? You all circle jerk a bit, you play Dutch Rudder, and then you guys go zone into mythic dungeons right away. Now, there's 2 things here. A, if you can handle it, if you're like good enough or whatever, and B, if you have the people to go do it, because you can't LFGQ into mythic dungeons. So you skip that natural progression that we just talked about all the way through. You go straight into mythic dungeons, which do not have an eye level requirement, and you complete mythic dungeons. You're going to get obviously some pieces of loot within the 8 dungeons you can complete, because remember, you don't have Archway and you don't have Court of Stars unlocked, so you only have access to 8 of the 10 mythic dungeons. You do those dungeons, and the huge benefit about doing this is 2 things. 1, it's going to boost your eye level quite easily, and you're more than likely going to surpass 810 just from doing 1 round of these 8 dungeons. Hello, cat. So that's 1 thing. 2, as a result of boosting your eye level and easily already meeting the check for getting into heroic dungeons and whatever, it's also immediately going to boost your average item level of the items you get from world quests, because world quests scale with you throughout the entire expansion so that they always remain relevant, and Blizzard always wants them to feel rewarding. But the way they scale with you is based on your average item level, and the fastest way to boost your average item level is to go into those mythic dungeons. So if you're going to go into those mythic dungeons and you have some world quests that are like 805 plus eye level, you can go straight into mythic plus, boost an extra like 20 or whatever. Why are you pawing my sandwich, man? Boost like an extra few eye level, and then all of a sudden your world quest rewards are like 810, 825, whatever. And with the higher eye level, you just work backwards. Everything's just much faster. Go back to High Mountain with a much higher eye level. Everything's faster with more gear, killing things, everything. So that is what I would recommend doing if you can do it. Skip everything, straight to mythic dungeons as soon as they do launch within the whatever hours after live launch of Legion, and then work backwards and do everything after that, okay? Dude, why are you eating pita? You're a cat. Here. Alright. Outside of that, there's not much else you can really do until raids unlock. there's a ton you can do, but in these major areas of world quests, dungeons, and professions. Hey, stop! What are you doing, man? It's like chewing my sandwich. Of these.
Go suck a dick, suck a motherfucking dick. Suck a dick, suck a huge or small.
God. Dude, he's like inhaling the food. He's not even chewing. Kleiper, man. Oh, God, Kleiper. 26 months, dude. Much love to you as always, man. I appreciate that a lot. First that butt. Should we give Kleiper some sweet love in chat, guys? I'm sitting here feeding bits of pita to my cat right now. This is ridiculous. In terms of the big focus, and by the way, PvP, guys, you have your own PvP stuff as well. There's certainly PvP things you could do. I didn't really PvP much in Alpha, so I don't want to like say wrong shit, because I would probably say a lot of wrong shit. So there's definitely things you can do for gear and stuff as well. But in the scope of pre-raid prep, and we're gonna have another one of these like little things for raiding on Sunday, and then like pre-Mythic Plus / raiding sometime in mid-September. These little workshops, or whatever you want to call them. In terms of preparation for pre-raiding September 20th in
donation.
PvE, these are the kind of like the scope of the covers the major areas of what you can do. So professions, we talked about it. Do your quests, get higher ranks of patterns through the quest, through drops and dungeons, drops out in the world, whatever, and craft gear if you wanted that use Obliterum to upgrade that gear up to 850 eye level. World quests and world bosses, we just talked about how you can take a shortcut and get the increased eye level on world quests by doing mythic dungeons first, and then, you know, keep up to date with your world quests. And lastly, dungeons themselves, normal, heroic, mythic, or just kind of skip it, mythic, and then work backwards. And then you can farm heroic dungeons all day long for AP, for gear, for Titan Forge proc gear if you're lucky, and for legendaries as well. Do your emissaries for world quests. And then the last thing, your class order stuff. Do your class order stuff. If you do it all as quickly as you can, it'll take you about 2 weeks to finish your class order campaign. And the important thing is with your class order campaign is that once you're done, it unlocks the 3rd relic slot on your artifact weapon, which the average relic for like a heroic dungeon is 36 eye level, meaning that just by unlocking that weapon, that relic slot, you automatically upgrade your artifact weapon by 36 eye level, at least, assuming you don't have a mythic one or like a Titan Forge proc one or whatever. Okay? So definitely very important to do that and keep on top of it. And that's kind of it that I can think of in terms of like the major areas to focus on prior to raiding. Now within these areas, there's a lot of shit to do, right? I mean, world quests are popping up at random times all the time. You can waste an entire day doing those. Dungeons, unlimited heroic dungeon farming. Professions are like a crazy amount of work. Like all of this is a lot of work. I'm just trying to cover the major areas so you can tackle what you want in whatever order you want, you know?